All right, we're going to be in the second half of chapter 2 today. Before we get started, I want you to complete this quick write. And remember, we need 3 to 4 sentences. Were you surprised to discover that not all Americans wanted to go to war with Great Britain? Why didn't they want to go to war? So you can start off by saying, I was surprised that not all the Americans wanted to go to war with Great Britain because, King George III was so mean. He was unfair. It was unfair of him to make them pay all those taxes. But why didn't some people want to go to war? Well, some people didn't want to go to war because they were intimidated of Great Britain's mighty army, and they didn't want to start a war that they knew they would lose. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready. Our focus question for the day is the same. We're just going to be collecting more evidence. So what caused the conflict between Sam and his father in chapter 1, and what do their disagreements reveal about them as people? Okay, and so we have 2 vocabulary words. The first one is Minutemen, and we know from our research that that is the group of soldiers of Patriot soldiers that had to be ready at a minute's notice. And so this picture is an example of the Minutemen. And sloth has two definitions. The first definition is when you are reluctant to work or lazy. So that's this person. And then the second definition is an actual animal that hangs upside down and sleeps most of the day. So if someone is called a sloth, they're talking about this animal because this animal is really lazy and basically sleeps and eats all day. All right, so we're going to start reading on page 17 in our book. I'll fill you in on what happened after page 7. So in the middle of page 7, Sam and his father are having an argument. Sam is telling them all about the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and his father doesn't really want to talk about it because his father does not support the war. Sam's father supports King George III, and he thinks they should be loyal to King George III. So after the fight and after dinner, Tim goes out to the barn to finish up his chores. And so he is milking the cow, and Sam comes out there, and, Sam doesn't want to help because he doesn't want to get his uniform dirty. And Sam confesses to Tim that, hey, I joined the war. I'm going to go fight in the war. And so Tim is, this is where he says at the bottom of page 15, he says, I'm going to go fight in the war. And Tim doesn't know what to think about this, but he says, he's leaving tomorrow, and he's going to go fight with Captain Arnold, and he's going to go to Massachusetts. He's not going back to college. And then Tim asks him, well, why did you come home? And he says, I can't tell you. And so we're at the top of page 17 when Tim and Sam are talking about why Sam came home. He's not home to stay, he's home to do something else. And so right now we're thinking about, well, who is Tim and what is he like? And we know, Tim is Sam's younger brother, and Tim really looks up to Sam. So write that down in the first box. Tim is Sam's younger brother, and he really looks up to Sam. Okay, in our setting, we know Tim and Sam are in the barn, and Sam and Tim live in Connecticut. They live in Reading, Connecticut. Press pause to write down your answer and then play when you're ready to figure out Tim's problem. So he says, Sam says, I can't tell you. And Tim says, why not? You'll tell Father. No, I won't. I swear I won't. I shut my mouth. With Sam, it's the wrong thing to beg. Yes, you will. All right, don't tell me. I don't care. I don't believe it anyway, I said. I had old Prue nearly empty, that's the cow, and began stripping her teats to get the last drops of milk out, as if I'd forgotten all about what Sam said. He didn't say anything for a minute. Then he said, will you really swear you won't tell? I told you. I thought you said you weren't going to tell me. All right, I won't, he said. I swear, I said. On your honor, yes. This is serious, Tim. I swear on my honor. He took a deep breath. I'm going to get the Brown Bess. That shocked me more than him saying he was going to fight. The Brown Bess was the type of gun most everyone around Connecticut had. It was brown, and it got its name from Queen Elizabeth, whose nickname was Bess, because they first used the type of gun a lot during her time. The gun was about as long as I was tall, and it had a bayonet around 20 inches long. Father kept the bayonet hanging over the mantelpiece. He used the Brown Bess for deer, and sometimes when he went out with the other men to go after the wolf that were getting into the livestock. And he took it with him every fall when he went over to Verplank's Point to sell cattle and buy supplies for the store. He never met up with any trouble going over to Verplank's, but people he knew had sometimes been held up and robbed. So you can see that the gun was important to us. It was one thing for Sam to say he was going to fight the British. They were a long way from here, but to take Father's gun was pretty bad. Father was right here, and he seemed a lot more real to me than the British did. Sam, you shouldn't do it, I said. I told you it was serious, Sam said. Now I wish he hadn't told me. You ought not do it. You oughtn't to do it, Sam. Father'll kill you. If I don't have a gun, some losterback will kill me. Besides, it belongs to the family, doesn't it? I have as much right to it as anybody, don't I? I knew that was wrong, and I shook my head. It doesn't belong to the family. It belongs to Father. Neither of us said anything for a minute. Then Sam said, you swore to me. You swore an oath. I wish I hadn't. I was afraid to go back on my oath, but I was just as scared of Sam stealing Brown Bess too. Let's finish up with the stock and go to bed. So right here we have Tim's problem. Okay, Tim, write this down in box 3. This should say Tim. Tim swore to Sam that he wouldn't tell his secret. But then Tim finds out that Sam is going to steal the father's gun. And now Tim is deciding whether or not he should tell Father, because what Sam's going to do could put their whole family in danger. So you can rewind this to rehear it and then press pause as you write down your answer. Press play when you're ready to start reading at the top of page 19. All right, and remember, we're looking for the solution. I figured if we went to bed, he'd fall right asleep because he'd walked 30 miles up from New Haven that day. In the morning, we all have to go to church, and it was the law to go to church on Sunday. And it wouldn't be hard for him to steal the gun with people milling around and coming over to the tavern the way they did after church. I finished milking old Prue. Sam took the eggs up to the house and came back, and we fed the stock and watered them. We didn't say much. I knew that Sam was sorry he told me, and I was thinking of ways to stop him from doing it. Finally, we were through. Let's go to bed, I said. All right, he said. Go on up. I'll be up in a minute. I want to talk to Father. Please come right up, though. Don't worry, Tim. Go on up to bed. I didn't want to leave him, but I knew there wasn't any use in arguing. So I said goodnight to Father and Mother, said some prayers, and went upstairs. There are 4 bedrooms on the 2nd floor of our house where lodgers stay when we have them. We get a lot of people traveling through Stratford, Danbury, and Litchfield in Norwalk, and even going over to New York. And they need places along the way to sleep. Above the 2nd floor is the loft where Sam and I sleep. Okay, and so Tim tries to solve his problem. If you look in the middle of page 19, it says he tries to think of ways to stop Sam. But eventually he ends up just going to sleep, page 20. So write your answer down in box 4. And then I want you to think about what caused the conflict between Sam and his father, and what do their disagreements reveal about them as people. And you can really focus on Sam for this paragraph because in what we read, we only really heard Sam's side of the story. So why is Sam fighting with his father, and what kind of person is Sam? Ready, set, go.